My lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sail. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. Yeah, hey, shower guy here, and of course I love to sing in a shower. Who doesn't? Anyway, it's Lauren and PJ Do Science, and today we're talking about Lauren's great trip to the Blue Hole. Stay cool and stay clean. Hey, thanks, shower guy. Yeah, that was pretty beautiful. And very appropriate because today we are talking about Dr. Lauren's adventures on the high seas. Yes, Dr. Lauren is alive. She's here. Say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
See, how's that for proof of life? It's not like, I know I posted a picture of her the other day and her and her husband on the socials, and a lot of you guys questioned that, even though she was holding the daily newspaper. And I know that, like, a few days, a couple weeks ago, she was absent from the podcast, and her husband mysteriously disappeared on a pre-planned trip to China. But you know what? She's here. She's alive. I didn't have to resurrect her with a pigeon. Okay, not like they do in Kentucky.
This is
Where they try
definitely
to.
not like that picture of Mitch McConnell, which absolutely
That's where I
from
was going.
2026 and not from 2023. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No,
And,
I was.
it did, I know that we have limited time today, but I do have to point out really quickly how sad it is that we need proof of life for multiple people in extremely powerful positions in our government. Like, people keep wondering if is this the weekend where Trump kicks the bucket? Is Mitch McConnell even alive? Is Susan Collins on life support? Like, it's just, can we have somebody, just one person in the Senate who is not old enough to be an AARP yet? Like, that would be pretty cool.
That would require age limitations. They're not going to do that. No, I fully expect the next time that we see Mitch McConnell, he's going to be dressed in a Hawaiian shirt, held up by two guys, and walking in there on his own. That's what
Yeah,
I expect.
I'm I think that the average age of a person in Congress has to have gone up in the last like 30 years because it's the same guys from 30 years ago. Like, Nancy Pelosi was the Speaker of the House when I was in college, and I
Mm-hmm.
graduated in 2008. So, like, I don't know,
I'm telling
man.
you, term limits, because they're
Yeah.
there until they die. Like it's really sad. Like literally, John McCain died while he was holding office.
Yep.
Who else? Lindsey Graham just died while holding
Yep.
office. Like
Couldn't
we
have
keep
happened to
seeing
a
that
nicer
happen
guy,
more
too.
and more. Oh, absolutely.
Uh, oh well.
Anyway,
Yeah,
we're
let's
here to
talk about
talk about your
science.
adventures on the high seas. But you know what? I do want to mention, it has been hot as shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I am
Um,
this is gonna be a quick episode because I am literally sitting here in my house sweating my ass off with my feet in a bucket of water, like cold water, and butt naked with a fan on me. Like thank God we don't have video because it would be traumatizing.
is the wildfire smoke reaching you guys down there?
Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
it's here.
I don't
Like,
think so.
I'm in New Jersey, and whatever's going on right now in Canada, like, the air quality here is terrible right now. And this happened to us last summer as well, like, or 2 summers ago. There was all those like wildfires in Canada, and the air quality was so bad. It was like something out of like a post-apocalyptic like action movie. It was like, yeah, you can't go outside without a gas mask on anymore. Like, it was just it was amazing.
Yeah,
But not
we
in a
have
good
an air
way.
quality alert, but I don't know if it's because it's just god awful. Like it is 100 degrees today, and the humidity is just insane, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, like the weather guys around here are talking about this real field temperature, and they're saying the real feel is somewhere between 114 and 120.
Oh my
And
god.
honest, oh, it was awful. Like I got an Amazon package yesterday afternoon, and I went outside to get it, and it literally felt like I was putting on a sweatshirt that came out of the dryer about 5 minutes too soon. Like when
Ew.
it's still damp, but you're like, all right, screw it. I'm in a rush. It'll dry on me. I'll just deal with it for a bit. That's what it feels like. It's disgusting.
Gross. Yeah,
My
it's
my air conditioner, my air conditioner has given up. It's 80 degrees in my house right now. I don't have central air anymore. I literally have an expensive fan with low self-esteem. Like
Oh, I'm
it
I'm
is
so sorry.
it it is so hot. Come on, you know what to do.
Well, like I'm in my office at work right now, so we have central air here, but we don't have central air in my house. We just have like one big sad air conditioner in the apartment that we're currently renting. Um, and my car doesn't have any air conditioning, so I have to drive with the windows down. And just driving to work today, it's just like the air just feels awful. Like it's like full of smoke. My husband went to
Ugh.
the supermarket earlier today, and he just like drove. The supermarket's less than 10 minutes from our house, and he said that driving there and driving back, he got a headache from how bad the air is. And it's not even like as bad as it was the last time this happened yet. Anyway, it's like the
Yeah.
rating is like unhealthy for sensitive groups, but it's not yet at the point where it's just like, do not go outside. It has been that bad before when we've had these wildfires. So it could get to that point, but it's not at that point yet.
Well, I'm going to try this again because I threw a giant meatball at you and you completely missed.
Give me
Let's
the
try this one
meatball.
more time.
I want the meatball.
It's so hot.
How hot is it?
I drove past the neighborhood pool and saw a tribe of cannibals slicing vegetables and seasoning the water.
how,
It's so hot.
how hot is it?
I drove past a farm and every chicken was a nice crispy golden brown color. Gotta love that rotisserie.
Because I'm vegetarian.
It's so hot. Well,
How hot
it's
is
so
it?
hot.
How
I
hot is
drove past. All right, well, try it again. I'll edit that
One more
out.
time.
No, I won't. I'm lazy. It's so hot.
How hot is it?
I drove past an apartment building and all the air conditioners were outside with picket signs demanding better working conditions.
That's a good one.
Hey-oh. Oh, it's ungodly. Anyway, all right, well, to the topic at hand, you are going on a cruise, and I'll fill in to the people what I know about this cruise
Okay.
that you've told me so far. Like, this cruise is on a giant boat. It's got like 6 water slides, 30 restaurants. I've heard amazing things about the buffet. The spa is unbelievable. It's not the kind of cruise where, fortunately, people fight in line for pizza and crab legs, so that's good. There's like 6 hot tubs, an adult 18 only place where you can kind of hang out without kids around. I understand you got the drinks package, which is fantastic and very smart, and knock back a couple margaritas for me. Bobby Darin's going to be performing among the other Broadway
Bobby
shows that
Darin?
they have, like Bobby Darin. So I mean, I'm looking forward for this for you. Like, how great is this cruise going to be?
Well, unfortunately, that was the last ship that I was on.
Oh,
Yeah, this one's a 78 footer.
you know what? It's not the size of the boat.
No, it's how you use it. So yeah, the last time I was at sea, I was on the RV Falcor 2, who is named after the luck dragon in the Neverending Story. And the ROV
That's
is
amazing.
the ROV is the sub bastion. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately not on that
Studying
ship
a
this
collapsing
time.
planet.
Yeah. No, that ship is amazing. It really is like a floating hotel plus scientific laboratory. Really, really enjoyed my time on that ship. Also had a really terrible time for reasons completely unrelated to the ship, but that's a story for another time.
Oh
So
boy.
this time I'm on a much smaller ship. So I guess it would be helpful to talk a little bit about research ships in general, within a reasonable time frame, because I could do a lot of talking about this. But so research ships are unfortunately not at all like a Carnival cruise, although I will say the Falcor 2 comes pretty close.
I would
But
argue that a Carnival cruise is a research in itself of human behavior.
I
Like, we've seen the
100%.
videos.
Yeah. I've never actually been on a pleasure cruise before. The closest thing I've ever been on was a booze cruise out of Philly. one
I mean,
time.
that's what a Carnival cruise is, at least for the weekends. I will
Yeah.
say, I went on a week-long Carnival cruise, and it was actually kind of nice. But
Yeah.
like the weekender cruises out of Miami, whoo boy, those get interesting people.
I I can only imagine.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it can be a lot of fun. But for me, the only times that I've ever been at sea for multiple days at a time has been on a research ship. And a research ship is a working vessel. It's a lot more like, I guess, being in the Navy, um, than being on a vacation. You have a watch, a 12-hour watch where you work, and a 12-hour period where you're off duty and you can chill. There's no days off, so you work every single day. Um, and you sleep in a bunk with another person. So you get bunk beds, which is pretty fun. Bunk beds are fun, right? They have curtains on them.
Until the ship starts hitting rough seas when you're in the top bunk.
No, it's kind of nice because you lay in your little bunk, and the ship is just kind of rocking you, and it's pretty great. You can draw the curtains closed so that usually like you're on a 12-hour watch and then your roommate is on the other 12-hour watch. So if you are asleep and they come in to get something, the lights are still off for you, like it's nice dark. Um, so you have to be pretty
So
quiet
is
on a
it
ship
like an
because there's
actual
always people sleeping. People are always asleep.
is it like an actual little room you have, or is it
Yeah.
like the aircraft carriers and submarines are set up where it's
No, you
you know
you have
a
your own
dozen?
room.
Okay.
Generally, you share a room with one other person, and then you might share a shower with another room with two people. So, like the shower and the toilet are shared between four people, but then you get a room with just you and one other person, and it's got like cabinets in it and drawers for your stuff. You have to like secure everything because ships move a lot. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
basically like lock the cabinets lock so that they don't fly open when the ship's rocking around. Um, you want to make sure that all of your stuff is basically tied down or locked up. There's rubber mats on every surface so things don't go sliding everywhere. There's places to like tie down your stuff, like your scientific equipment all has to be tied to the bench so it doesn't like go flying. Um, it's an experience. um, and
It makes sense though, like that it's set up
yeah,
that way. I mean, it's not like I guess on something like an aircraft carrier or a regular cruise ship. I mean, they're big enough that you can get away without tying everything down. But
yeah.
the little boats are going to get tossed around a bit.
Right. And the bigger boats, like the Falcor 2 is also, in addition to being really big, also has stabilizers in it. They're supposed to minimize how much the ship rocks. I think a lot of the cruise ships have stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So you don't generally feel the sea state. Um, but on these smaller ships, like I said, this one's 78 feet long. So it's pretty teeny. I've been
Hmm.
on bigger research ships, like global class ones that are about the size of a naval destroyer, which is still pretty small. Um, and those still, you feel the sea state if it's rough. Like, you can really get tossed around if you're going through like one of the major like ocean currents and you're going across it. Like, you'll know
Hmm.
the boat's going to be moving. Or if you hit bad weather. Um, so it really is like you feel like you're at sea. And there can be days where the weather is so bad or the sea state is so bad that you can't get anything done and you have to like change your plans for what science you're doing. I will say this though. Uh the one thing, and I'm aware that this is not a universal experience. I've heard stories, but in my experience, every single research ship I've ever been on, the food was always incredible. Um
Oh, that's good.
yeah, we ate really well because the cooks really put a lot into making the meals interesting and variable, and they have special storage for making sure that we have access to fresh vegetables and fruit for the duration of the cruise. um so granted, like certain things just won't keep that long, so there will be a point in a longer cruise where all of a sudden there's all this banana bread because the bananas have started to go brown. Um, but like I've eaten really, really well while at sea.
Oh,
No
that's
idea
awesome.
what the cook is going to be like on this ship. I have never been on this one before. This one's the RV Hogarth. So it's a little bit smaller. It operates out of the Florida Institute of Oceanography. So speaking of it being hot, I'm going to be in Florida at the end of July. Really not looking forward to that.
It's not that bad, honestly. Like
No?
it's not worse than it is up here. I'll tell you that.
Okay. I mean, I
Because
believe you.
there's been now well there's been times where it's been 90 down in Florida, but the temperature up here has been 110. Like it's
Okay. I mean, you are closer
yeah,
to
it's
the ocean, and that helps. So,
yeah, that's going to help a little bit. The humidity, there's still like gross humidity, but it's a little bit different. And if you get the daily 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock rainstorm, I mean, it all depends now.
right.
But you get like a daily rainstorm that kind of breaks that stuff up.
Well, that's cool. So I'm gonna be in Florida for about a week before we actually get on the ship. There's another science party going out before us on the first leg of the cruise, and then we were on the second one. So yeah, I'm gonna be on land for a bit before I get out there. I'm actually only going to be at sea for 4 days in the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America as it is now.
Yeah, the Gulf of America, get it right, damn
Oh,
it.
yeah. I don't want the feds knocking down my door and taking away my funding because
Nope.
I didn't say the right Gulf. So you used to live in Florida. Are you familiar with blue holes?
I'm not too familiar. I can't say I've encountered too many blue holes, except for that one time that I well, we won't talk about it. It involved the Smurf
Hmm.
and bad late night decisions. So
Mhm.
anyway, what are
Who's
blue
amongst
holes?
us? Yeah. So blue holes. So, um, the western coast of Florida used to be a lot further out than it is now. It used to go a lot further west. So,
Right.
more of Florida was above sea level during the last ice age because a lot of the water that is now making up our oceans was ice. So when the sea level was lower, the western coast of Florida was hundreds of miles further out. And there's basically now this shelf of rock um, extending off of the western coast of Florida called the West
That
Florida Shelf.
and you see that on all the maps. Well, most of them
Yes.
anyway that show like a little bit under the water.
Yeah. So if you look at like a topographic map, you can see that like the water off of the west coast of Florida is really shallow, really far out.
Yeah.
Um, so it's called the West Florida Shelf or the Florida Platform. It basically like it goes pretty far out and stays pretty flat, and then suddenly drops from 300 feet deep to over 10,000 feet deep, really fast. Um,
It's a
yeah,
pretty good drop.
yeah,
It's
yeah, and it's pretty
significant,
sudden. It's
I'd say.
basically like a big cliff.
That was going to be my next question. It's not casual at all. It literally is just like you chop a you take off like a slice of cake.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a drop. Yeah, yep. So, this whole area was above sea level during the last ice age. And it's mostly made up of like limestone, which is carbonate rock, right? So it's
Mhm.
limestone is kind of spongy, right? In character, it's got a lot of like little holes in it.
Yeah.
In fact, the tap water in Florida tastes kind of sweet because the groundwater comes up through all that limestone, and the limestone acts like this big filter. So it actually makes the water taste really good. Um,
I would debate that.
yeah?
I would debate that point. Yeah, it's
Where did you live in
I don't
Florida?
Orlando.
Oh, when I was a kid, my great uncle lived in Tampa Bay, and
Okay.
we
So
lived
you're
with
you're
him for
right
a
on
little
that
while.
limestone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you're on that limestone, the water is really good.
Yeah, we had some interesting flavored water. In fact, I mean, you didn't drink the tap water. Nobody drank the tap water. You
Oh,
at least had a
wow.
filter on it. Like the only time you drank anything close to tap water was when you were out in public. And I will tell you that Disney theme park water tastes unlike anything in the world, and
Really?
that's not a good thing. Like
Oh,
if we had to take my Disney would be the worst. I think public water I've ever had. The best public water I've ever had was in Montreal. It
really?
was delicious. It was amazing.
That's I have to say the best public water I've ever had is right here in South Jersey. We have amazing groundwater here. Actually, some of the purest in the whole country.
Yeah, because you got to filter all the salt out of it.
We've got a huge aquifer underneath the Pine Barrens that's nationally protected because
Yeah.
it's really good water. But anyway, these blue
Plus, you get
holes,
all the discarded drugs in the water and the
that's further
radiation.
no, that's further north.
It leaches down.
No, it doesn't. um so blue holes formed in this shelf off the coast of West Florida when it was above sea level, basically like sinkholes. And when the ice age ended and all that ice melted, the sea levels rose, those holes filled with water. And they basically created like this network of underground caves, but they're sea caves. They're all flooded with water.
Hmm.
Um and they're very interesting because they can be these like oases of biology. All kinds of different things will colonize them and live inside of them. The sea chemistry inside of the hole can be very different from the water directly above it. So you can get these areas that are like totally anoxic, totally oxygen free, and you get bacteria that live in the absence of oxygen down in these holes. You get some really weird like layering effects with the seawater, different types of sea chemistry depending on how deep in the hole you are. Um, and they're really interesting. And this isn't the only place in the world where they're found. I think the deepest ones are in the Caribbean. So, but some of the ones in Florida are among the most famous.
That makes
Uh,
sense though, because the
yeah.
Caribbean, like what we see, is basically the tops of old mountains.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of blue holes in the Caribbean as well, and you can dive them. Um, it can be dangerous to go in them depending on the shape because um, cave diving is very, very dangerous. If you're doing open water diving where if you look up, you can see the surface of the water and you can break the surface of the water, then generally you're pretty safe. If there's a problem, you just go straight up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're
Bubbles up.
diving in a cave, that creates, a whole different situation now because you can get trapped. And I think that's what happened to those divers who died recently was that they were cave diving. And I think the person who was like the dive master didn't have the experience to uh, structure the dive correctly. So yeah, a lot of dive accidents happen when people get into places like wrecks or caves where they can't reach the surface in a hurry if there's a problem.
That happens on land too, and it's like I don't. I could kind of understand the water because there is really interesting places you could see that you cannot see on land,
Mm.
like the cave diving there. If you're going into a cave and you have to squeeze your body through a tiny, tiny opening, barely big enough for your body that you're going to get all scraped up on, what could possibly be on the other side of that channel that is worth risking your life for? Like that kid who died in the putty cave. What is there? What's
I
there?
don't I don't know.
Nothing. Nothing
I
worth risking it for.
I kind of understand it, but
I
also,
do to an extent, but like, no.
yeah, I think that like I'm way more afraid of heights than I am of being underground. So like I would go caving before I would go mountain climbing. But
No, I mean,
also, like,
like,
squeezing
if I want
myself
to,
through a tiny little crack to try to get
right.
to some big I don't know, like that Yeah,
Here's the
that's
thing. If
scary.
if I want to see stalactites and stalagmites and cool underground rivers and things that drip in a cave that's 50 degrees or whatever, I could drive up to West Virginia. I could drive up to Northern Virginia. I could drive to Crystal Cave in Pennsylvania, which I've been to a number of times, and just pay my
The
ten
Luray
dollars.
Caverns is like right there. You can,
Yeah, like I could
Yeah.
pay my $10 and just head on right in and have a grand old time and chill and not have to worry about dying in a horribly claustrophobic way. Like I keep going back to Nutty Cave, and that kid who died. If you read about how he died, it was horrific.
Yeah.
Like
I don't.
no.
Yeah. So we were originally planning to sample the water in these blue holes, basically by just dropping our sampling equipment and our data instrumentation downhole from off of the ship. But we spoke to some folks who had worked in these systems before, and they said it's really, really difficult to position the ship over the hole and then drop your sampling equipment or your instrumentation or whatever downhole and then recover it for a couple of reasons. You're sitting on water, right? So you have to position yourself over the hole. And um if you're in water that's too deep to drop anchor, and you usually are when you're doing science at sea, the water could be thousands of meters deep, right? You can't drop
Hmm.
anchor so that the ship doesn't move. The ship's going to move even if the engines are turned off.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you gotta
most
hope for the best.
Right. Most research ships have something called dynamic positioning, where you basically tell the ship, all right, I want to sit on this spot, and the engines and the propellers will keep the ship positioned on that spot so that
But
you
is
don't
that
drift.
is is that not good enough for scientific instrumentation though, with the preciseness it needs?
It could be, but the ship that I'm going to be on doesn't have dynamic positioning.
Oh, cool.
So, basically, if we want to sit in one spot, the captain just has to like steer us to stay in the right spot, which is hard, right?
Yeah.
So the way that the folks who have studied these blue holes before have done this, and they've even used smaller ships than the one that we're going to be on, is they had divers. So they had divers either go down hole and help like guide their equipment down to the bottom. And we're talking depths of like 300 feet or more. So you have to use like special mixes of air, rebreathers. Like there's a whole
Hmm.
thing that you have to do to be able to dive that deep. Because the recreational dive limit is I think 80. And if
I have no
you
idea. I know it's not
yeah,
much.
it's like 80 feet. And if you just have like a standard open water certification, I think it's like 60. So if you want to be able to go a little bit deeper, you have to get special certification for that. So
And here's like,
yeah.
I don't think people realize how easy it is for the pressure because they're going to look at 80 feet and say, well, that's not diving down too much. The difference in pressure, like I have a little snorkel set,
Mhm.
and I can feel the difference in pressure if I push my face like a couple more inches down in the water
Yeah.
when it comes to breathing. So I don't think people realize just how quickly that changes.
Right. So when you're at sea level, you're under the pressure of all of the air in the atmosphere. So that pressure is 1 atmosphere, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you go down about 30 feet, you are now under the equivalent of 2 atmospheres of pressure. If you go down 60
Mm-hmm.
feet, you're now under the equivalent of 3 atmospheres of pressure. And the air in your body has to adjust to that difference in pressure as you go down. So you have to go down slowly so that you don't get a mask squeeze. So like the air in your mask doesn't like contract and then your mask is literally like suctioned to your face. Um
Mm-hmm.
you have to like, you know, adjust your buoyancy as you drop. And then when you come back up again, you have to ascend very, very slowly. The rate is like a foot per second because otherwise Nitrogen gas builds up in your blood as you're breathing from your regulator at depth, and that gas can form bubbles in your blood that get trapped, and that's what
Yeah.
causes the bends, decompression sickness. So like it's basically like opening a bottle of soda too fast, and it just goes
Yeah,
everywhere.
and just
Right?
and I'm imagining it's not just the air either. It's like the actual physical pressures on your body. It's kind of like in an airplane or whatever when you feel G forces. It's the same kind of crushing,
There,
squishing
there is
sensation.
there is absolutely a pressure at which your body would just get smushed like a beer can. In fact,
Yeah.
um, something that oceanographers really like to do when they go out to the deep sea, um, because we're weird, is we'll tie a styrofoam cup that we've decorated with like markers or whatever, or we'll write the spot,
I've seen that, yeah.
drawings and stuff like that, and tie it to like the ROV or the CTD rosette or whatever we're sending down to the bottom. And when it comes back up, it's gone from like your standard styrofoam coffee cup size to about an inch high because all of that
Yeah, it's a
pressure,
shot glass.
yeah, it all smaller than a shot glass. All of that
Mhm.
pressure has squeezed all of the air out of the styrofoam, and you're just left with this little like plastic chip. It's like a shrinky dink. Um, so you can
I like the one
imagine what that
where
would do to a human body.
oh, I mean, we saw with the what was it? The guys that went down the Titanic and the thing just like collapsed instantly. Like
Yeah. Oh,
there
yeah.
was nothing left.
No, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go look for bodies." I'm like, "You mean you're gonna look for like a
Goo.
paste, fish food?
Yeah.
Like those guys are, yeah, they were atomized."
Ti- Titanic, 100 years later, still claiming bodies.
Yeah, you
But
gotta hand it
I
to it,
love
I
the
guess.
one. Yeah, I love the one, and the first time I saw this was in, and I'm not even shameful about this. One of my favorite movies is Down Periscope with Kelsey Grammer. I think
Mm.
that is an awesome movie, and whenever whenever I tell people about Norfolk, Virginia, I say it's the site of one of the greatest naval victories in history, where a heroic team piloted a diesel-powered submarine in a race against nuclear-powered submarines to see who can blow up an old ship in Norfolk Harbor first, because that's where it supposedly happened. But anyway, they do the thing where they tie the like they have like an old grizzled sailor engineer in there, and he ties the string on both the walls. And there's this one scene where they're diving down deeper and deeper, and they're like, "Oh my god, the submarine can't handle it." You hear things popping, water's leaking
Mhm.
in and everything, and all of a sudden you see the string that was kind of tight like in a gigantic deep U bend. Like
Oh
it
my
is
god.
just squished. I
I
always love that
actually
scene.
I was actually telling a student about the movie Das Boot earlier. Because uh I was telling him about the time that I was doing science in Oman, and so not at the bottom of the ocean, but in the middle of the desert, studying ancient ocean crust that is now on land and has ancient seawater trapped in it. Um, and we camped in the desert for 10 days. No
Ugh.
access to showers, no toilets.
Oh
Um,
no.
we couldn't keep food cold, so we ate a lot of like bread and canned stuff, dried peas and dried beans, rice, uh, noodles, things like that. Um, and there was a part during the trip. I think we'd been camping in the desert now for about a week. When we went into town to have dinner with the geologists who were not camping in the desert, they were conducting all of the new drilling operations because you have to drill down into the rock to access this trapped seawater. And they were going back to a hotel every night. So we meet up with the
Wow,
geology team.
bougie.
They're all like freshly showered and wearing clean clothes, and we're like wearing a week's worth of desert dust. And I didn't realize how bad I smelled until we did go back to a hotel at the end of this 10-day period, and I finally took a shower. And when I took that shower, I could smell the stink of 10 days in the desert finally coming off of my body, and I was absolutely horrified.
Oh,
But it reminded me of Das
gross.
Boot because there's a scene in that movie where the guys on the sub, if you're not familiar with the movie, it's about a bunch of guys on a German U-boat during World War II, towards the end of the war.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a scene where they surface and they meet up with this like big battleship or something that's hanging out in near the Strait of Gibraltar. And so, there's all of these like very well starched and pressed German officers on this ship greeting these guys who have been living on a submarine for months and saying like, "Oh yes, we're very proud of our boys, the Grauenwolfen, down in the depths," and they're all like, "Yeah, cool," like, who are these guys? But there's just this like very stark difference between the guys who have been staying on the surface, and they literally have a banquet laid out of like meat and cheese and fresh fruits and all this stuff, and the guys are just looking at it like, oh my god, because they've literally been eating canned food and rotten meat for weeks. And they're like, oh yeah, what's it like down there? It sounds so exciting. And they're like, dark, quiet. It's such a funny scene. But it's not a funny movie. It is a very sad, very depressing, very scary at times movie, because there are a few times where like they get stuck on the bottom and can't surface and they almost die. And like because of the pressure, the lack of air. Like if you're claustrophobic, this is not the film for you, because they literally filmed it inside of a decommissioned sub, and so it really captures like how awful and claustrophobic and scary and hot. My student was telling me that like, because they watch one of those content creators who does like historical recipes and historic food, and they said that like the temperature on the sub was like 100 degrees on average, so you're just down there like sweating in addition to everything else, because of course it's World War II. There's no like air conditioning on the sub.
Yeah.
I hadn't even like thought about that, so they're always like sweating and hot and gross, and yeah. So I do dream to one day go on one of the deep sea submersibles. I've worked with ROVs, which are remotely operated from the surface, and I really, really loved it because it's like flying a little robot along the bottom of the ocean, and you get to see all this cool stuff, thousands of meters down. But one day I do want to go on like Alvin or something like that. But those dives are...
Oh, that'd be great.
Those are 8-hour dives, basically. Like you go down to the bottom, you hang down there for as long as you can, and then you come up. You're not down there for like days, weeks at a time. It would be amazing if there was such a thing as like a sampling submarine that you could, be down on the bottom for longer periods. I have no idea what that would even look like.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like Jules Verne did all that stuff. Like the Nautilus. How I would love to be on the Nautilus.
Oh my god! I just listened to
amazing.
an audiobook recording of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea because I'd never read it, and I was really curious, and like the stuff that's in it is so it's so amazing, like the things that he imagined, but also it has these moments that are just hilarious. Like everybody knows about like the giant squid attacking the Nautilus.
Yeah.
And it's actually a pretty brief scene in the book. There's other scenes in the book where Verne takes a lot more time with it. Like there's a point where they get trapped under the ice and they're trying to dig themselves out, and that he spends a lot of time on that. He spends a lot of time on like the burial of one of the crew in like this coral cemetery. And so the squid attack is really quick, but everybody knows about it because like that's the most exciting scene, and that's the one from like the Disney movie and everything. And
I was going to say they've seen the movie. They've been on the ride, and the whole ride's like the whole second half of the ride is the squid attack.
But the lead
I will say though,
the lead up to the squid attack though is so funny in the book because like the point of view character is like this natural scientist named Pierre Aronnax. So he's like he's like a natural history scientist. He's really interested in animals and biological specimens of all types, and he has this servant with him named Conseil, and Conseil is like the his guy Friday. He like does everything for him. It's adorable. I love.
Nobody remembers his girl Friday.
So
nobody under like maybe aside from us under 50 knows that reference.
Well, his go-to guy, like his guy who does everything.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
His manservant. Possibly in a completely gay way. It's not really,
if you've seen the movie, very much in a gay way.
Yeah. Well, Conseil would basically like die for Aronnax. It's like, and almost does a few times. So there's a scene where um the other guy that they're with, Ned Land, who's like this very manly Canadian whaler, is like, oh yeah, there might be giant squid in these waters. Or no, I think Aronnax is like, oh, there might be giant squid in these waters, and Ned Land's like, no, those are a myth. No, nobody's ever actually encountered one of those. And Aronnax is like, no, 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 those are totally a thing. I have a colleague who saw one once. And Conseil is standing there looking out the window, and he goes, oh, really? Did it have like a ring of tentacles around its head? And, yep, yep. And like really big eyes. Yep. Big crushing beak. Yep. And he's like, everybody turns around and there's this giant squid out the window. Like the comedic timing of it is just hilarious and perfect. So yeah, if you haven't actually read the book, there's the audiobook version that I listened to was at another podcast called The Well Told Tale, and the guy narrates all of these different like science fiction and fantasy classics like Lovecraft and Verne that are in the public domain, and he reads them really well. He was very entertaining.
Stole my idea.
Well, you can still do that on the side.
That's true. No, I got enough on the side. I got my in fact, you know what? Shameless plug for our social media for TikTok and Instagram and YouTube.
Yes.
I've started doing those short form educational videos. It's little bite-sized videos, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes long or so.
Yep.
I'm basically taking a single subject and doing a 7 or 8 part mini series on it. So that's a shameless plug.
Yeah. And I will be joining in on those as soon as I get back from this cruise, because right now it is taking up literally all my bandwidth. I am creating a packing list of all the scientific gear that I need to bring, and of course you have to bring everything that you need because you can't go back to land and get it. Like, once you're out there, you're out there. You can't like go back into port and run to the Home Depot or whatever. So I have to make sure that I have everything that I need before we go out. And so like that's just and planning around like, what are my kids and my husband gonna do while I'm gone? And what do I need to pack? And will I have enough medication for the entire time that I'm gone? And so I'm just like, I'm frazzled at the moment. But when I get back, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Well, when you're on the ship, I do have a request for you, and I will put this on the social medias. You need to sing a sea shanty.
Oh, I know lots of sea shanties. I can absolutely.
Well, I got one specifically in mind.
Okay.
So I will give a request here, since we were talking about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Got a whale of a tale to tell you, lads, a whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and the girls I love, on nights like this with the moon above. A whale of a tale, and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo.
We don't know that one.
Oh, come on. Well, I mean, I guess it's not a traditional sea shanty. It was written in the 50s for the movie, but...
Does it count?
It counts. It's Kirk Douglas sang it, of course it counts.
Okay, if Kirk Douglas did it, then I guess that's fine.
Yeah, or you know what? I'll also allow, since Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced just came out, you can sing any of the sea shanties from the Assassin's Creed soundtrack.
You know what's kind of funny? I was just doing some research into sea shanties, and sea shanties are not from the golden age of piracy. They actually didn't come into being until the early 19th century, when shipping, like literally shipping, sending things by ship, became like this huge industry. And so you had a lot of working class guys working on ships for delivering stuff, whaling, obviously, fishing and all of that stuff. And these songs came into being as work songs. And so, like, for some reason, they've become associated with pirates, but the golden age of piracy was like 200 years or 100 years prior to the invention of sea shanties.
Well, I'd like to debate that a little bit, because yes, those were during the they were work shanties, but they've always had entertainment on the ships.
Well, that's a different
like
story. So
as far
there
back.
are
Yeah,
traditional maritime songs that are just songs that you sing while on a ship, but a sea shanty is a particular type of song that's a
yeah, it's a
work
timing
song.
song.
It's a timing
Yeah.
song, exactly. So you have certain types of songs that you would sing when you're pushing something, which is a heaving song, and then you have certain types of songs that you sing when you're pulling something, which is a hauling song.
Mm-hmm.
And they have different
I
timing.
mean
Yeah.
that's lasted up until it's always been there.
Yeah,
Um,
it started
at
to
least since
die
then,
out with like the advent of steamships, and
mm,
sailing became less of a thing. But there was a revival of them really, really quickly, like in a few decades after they started to die out. So they've always been around, and like singing at sea is certainly a very old practice, and I'm sure that like there were pirate songs, there were British Navy songs, although
yeah,
you weren't allowed to sing while you were on duty in the British Navy. You were only allowed to sing when you were off duty. um but they did exist. So it's just a
yeah.
shanty is
It's
a
just easier
particular
to
type of song.
put them all in under the word shanty to
Yes,
just
of
make
course. And
for people to come.
it's a fun
It's a fun
word.
word.
It comes from the French chanter, to sing. So
Oh, I
a little
thought
fancy.
I heard the old man say, "Leave her, Johnny, leave her." I did a great version of that. Maybe I might post that on one of my channels, on my music channel, PJK Music 27. Maybe I will.
Mm.
Maybe that'll be my cover for this week. Huh.
That's a heaving song. It's for raising the anchor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would do it
Maybe I
by
will.
pushing on a wheel that would raise it up, and bailing out bilge water uh at the end of a trip. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you're not going to need to bail out any bilge water, but as I said, I require a sea shanty.
You will have a sea shanty, by thunder, by
And you know
Poseidon.
what? And you know what? Major bonus points if you can do it while using the mast as a pole.
Oh well, I don't think we have a mast, but I'll see what I can.
Oh well.
I'll see what I can come up
Every
with.
every ship has a mast if you try hard enough.
Oh boy. I, as, as long as I don't get like permanently banned from the Unal's vessel
Yeah,
network.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we need to have your scientific credentials.
All right, I have to
Anyway,
go. It has been
yes,
lovely.
it has been lovely. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Dr. Lauren is off to one of her many meetings, and I need to get back to doing my actual work. But we will be here in 2 weeks' time, and we're going to talk about the reflecting pool and all
Yes.
the craziness that has gone on there. Because, my God, we've tried to do this episode a couple times, and every single time something crazier comes up with the reflecting pool. So we're like, all right, we got to look into that. Oh, really? Okay, got to look into that some more. Like,
Yeah.
I, uh, I couldn't. You couldn't write it. Like late night TV couldn't write this thing. So yeah, we'll be back with that, and then we're
Hmm.
going to talk all about algae. But yeah, check out our website, which you can find in our profile, and that'll take you to the social medias. But thank you all for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. So say goodnight, Lauren.
Good night, Lauren.